¿Qué tal mi gente? ¿Cómo están ustedes? Bienvenidos de vuelta a este maravilloso e increíble canal de noticias Venezuela News. Les tengo información importante de último minuto también. Donald Trump hace una afirmación de que el 80% del caso de fraude podría desecharse porque el plazo de prescripción ha expirado. El presidente levanta el pulgar en el tribunal mientras el juez critica a los fiscales por una pérdida de tiempo, por hacer testificar a los contadores. Donald Trump ha afirmado que el 80% de su juicio por fraude de 250 millones de dólares será desestimado porque el plazo de prescripción ha expirado. El expresidente elogió al juez por ser muy justo al final de su primer día del gran éxito en el caso de Nueva York, donde se le acusa de inflar los precios de las propiedades en su imperio de 2.200 millones de dólares. Donald Trump celebró después de que el juez Arthur Engoron dijeran a los fiscales que podría haber sido una pérdida de tiempo traer a testificar a su excontador que ven en pantalla. El excontador habló extensamente sobre las finanzas de Donald Trump en 2011. A pesar de un tribunal de apelaciones de Nueva York dictaminó que solo se permitiría presentar acusaciones posteriores al 2014. Confío en que puedan relacionar los documentos del 2011 con algo que ocurrió después, dijo el juez a los fiscales. O todo esto ha sido una pérdida de tiempo literal. En respuesta, Donald Trump levantó el pulgar ante el tribunal pocas horas después de afirmar que el juez debería ser inhabilitado y sometido a una investigación penal. La última declaración del juez fue muy justa, dijo Trump, después de criticar previamente al juez Engoron como un operativo demócrata. La forma en que lo interpreto: el plazo de prescripción es algo muy real en este país y eso expulsaría al 80% de este caso. Estaría terminado, dijo Trump, y calificó la declaración como un acontecimiento bienvenido e inesperado. Pero esto fue una gran sorpresa, pero fue un gran crédito para el tribunal que el juez estuviera dispuesto a hacer este tipo de anulación él mismo, y lo respetó mucho. El equipo de Trump presentó una demanda el 14 de septiembre y acusó al abogado de ignorar la decisión del Tribunal de Apelaciones. El juez Engoron hizo la declaración ante el tribunal en respuesta al testimonio del contador, un veterano contador que cortó lazos con Trump el año pasado, diciendo que ya no podía responder con los estados financieros de su empresa. Donald Trump ha dicho que sus estados financieros fueron preparados por firmas importantes y que los bancos dependían de sus propios expertos para preparar las valoraciones. Luego, el juez reconoció la decisión del Tribunal de Apelaciones y objetó una pelea procesal en este tribunal de que la ley que rige el Estatuto de Limitaciones para el Fraude que Engoron encontró que ocurrió se aplicaba solo desde el 2014. Los bancos en general en los Estados Unidos no están demandando a Donald Trump. Los prestamistas no están demandando a Donald Trump. La FEC no está demandando a Donald Trump. Los patrocinadores hipotecarios no están demandando a Donald Trump. Las personas que están interesadas en este tema no están demandando a Donald Trump. Las compañías del procesamiento financiero no están demandando a Donald Trump tampoco. A todo esto se le pagó a tiempo y con intereses. Y en su totalidad es el gobierno quien encontró este ataque absoluto de un juez que realmente es un tipo espeluznante y que está como un títere ante Letitia James. Ahora, te quiero mostrar un video donde el juez que básicamente quiere inhabilitar a Donald Trump, y además sobre este caso civil de inflar las valorizaciones inmobiliarias, dice lo siguiente: si los jurados se equivocan, puedo anularlos según mis emociones sobre el caso. Mira.
Now, I'm going to say something controversial, even though I'm being taped. Juries get it wrong a lot. That's my own opinion. I do only civil trials, personal injury cases, contract disputes. But I've had situations where, like, oh my heaven's sake, how could they have thought that? Well, I have a tool that I can deal with that. It's called judgment notwithstanding the verdict. I can say there is no possible way that a reasonable jury would have reached that conclusion. And all right, am I following the law or am I making law? Okay, I'm following law, I'm an impartial referee, but it's hard to factor out my own emotions. And I have tools. Somebody can say, well, Your Honor, you have to throw out this case because it's just like another case. Well, is it just like another case? What if the defendant was wearing a red sweater instead of a blue sweater? Oh, and by the way, I worked for the Columbia Daily Spectator for a couple of weeks. What happened was I went there every day and I wrote a few stories. One I got criticized on because I wrote that some Ku Klux Klanners had murdered some people, and then I was told, you can't say that. How do we know? You weren't there. Well, that was what everybody thought. But anyway, yeah, we should have absolute immunity. What if we defame somebody? That's how it usually comes up. You know, you call somebody a murderer or a heroin addict, that sort of thing, a pedophile. And if it's done in court, yeah, I think we should have absolute immunity.
Como vieron en ese video, el juez está diciendo que depende a su emoción, él toma una decisión. Por ejemplo, esta persona dice, un juez debería saber que no debe decir que la emoción tiene algo que ver con este caso o cualquier otro caso. Se supone que se trata sobre hechos, pruebas y todas esas cosas molestas. Si las emociones de los jueces están en juego, Donald Trump no tiene ninguna posibilidad para ganar. Ahora, además, con toda esta persecución política, los medios establecidos quieren tendencias, señores, quieren repercusiones, quieren tendencia, quieren trending topic sobre Trump. Por otro lado, les voy a mostrar a continuación el video de la fiscal general Letitia James, donde ella ha dicho en diferentes oportunidades que su máxima prioridad desde que despierta es enjuiciar a Donald Trump. Miren esto.
I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president when our fundamental rights are at stake. I believe that the President of these United States can be indicted for criminal offenses.
Will you sue him for us? Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the He's going to know my name personally.
That man in the White House who can't go a day without threatening our fundamental rights.
Yes, we need to focus on Donald Trump and his abuses. We need to follow his money. We need to find out where he's laundered money. We need to find out whether or not he's engaged in conspiracy. It's important that everyone understand that the days of Donald Trump are coming to an end.
I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, defending your rights, and then going home.
Ok, señores, también tenemos un video sobre Tucker Carlson con Victor David Hanson, donde habla sobre Donald Trump y qué es lo que se le está acusando. Miren.
Just this morning, Donald Trump appeared in court in New York in a civil case brought by the state's attorney general that was designed explicitly to keep him out of the White House. That case is part of a larger legal barrage against Trump that so far includes a total of 91 felony counts, every one of them politically motivated. But today's civil case is especially absurd. In fact, it's hard to overstate its ridiculousness. In sum, Trump stands accused of inflating the value of collateral used to secure loans that he has already paid back with interest. In other words, there is no injured party in this case. The biggest banks in the world assessed the risk and they made a profit, as they almost always do. Not a single person was defrauded. For this non-crime, Trump and his children are in the process of losing their homes and their businesses.
Tenemos una información y una entrevista exclusiva por parte de Fox News donde Matt Gaetz revela todo este acontecimiento, todo lo que ha pasado con el feedback de la destitución de Kevin McCarthy, y en esta oportunidad Matt Gaetz responde a la declaración de Kevin McCarthy tras ser destituido como presidente. Miren.
Now is Congressman Matt Gaetz. Congressman, I know you've been listening in to former Speaker McCarthy's comments. He name-checked you and said, number one, you're not a real conservative because you don't want to govern conservatively. He also said that this really was personal, intimating that you're really PO'd, that he didn't step in and put down that ethics investigation into you. And he knows it's personal, and you know it's personal. And you say?
That's totally false. I'm the most investigated man in the entire United States Congress. I've been cleared by the FBI, DOJ, the Federal Election Commission.
But you don't think that McCarthy did enough to stop this? I mean, isn't that,
No,
I mean,
listen,
wasn't that well known
listen,
that you were mad that he didn't do enough to stop that investigation? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being
legend.
mad, by the way.
I'm not. By the way, the beginning of Speaker McCarthy's comments there were lovely and nice about his past and his history. But when he says we're not conservative because we didn't vote to secure the border, I think that does merit a response. We passed a Department of Homeland Security border bill that would have required E-Verify with a host of other reforms. Then, on a continuing resolution, Kevin McCarthy wanted us to surrender every other fight. Jack Smith, weaponized government, everything else going on just to isolate the border thing. Now, I don't believe that the way conservatives get ahead is surrendering everything but the border in order to address the border. And I don't think that the way to address the border is to pass E-Verify and then say that the strong border position is the abandonment of E-Verify in a vote that occurs 14 hours later.
Well, you're not going to get the border done like the way we want to do it until you get the numbers. You're not going to get that border. You're not going to get what you want on the border. None of us are until you get the numbers in the House and you kick out some of these senators.
Well, I don't think we're going to get, frankly, Laura, I think it's worse than that. I don't think we're going to secure the border until we have the White House. But I also want to address this notion that we aren't conservatives, right? Because what Kevin McCarthy believes about governing is that we have to utilize these continuing resolutions. And if the continuing resolution is conservative enough, if you hang some bells and whistles on it, that really ought to pacify people who are right-leaning throughout the country. I believe that the only way to achieve programmatic reform and to put downward pressure on spending is to do what was done back in the 90s, where every individual bill is conferenced and debated and subject to amendment. And of course, you have to compromise. And of course, you have to govern. Matter of fact, just last week, I voted for 4 appropriations bills after my amendments were largely defeated by House moderates to put further pressure on spending.
That point was made, but they're making the point tonight, Congressman. We only have limited time, so if you don't mind me moving on. But we made that point about what you did last week. But look, I think the concern here is that people are seeing your fundraisers instantly going out about this. You're raising money, and it is chaos
I'm eager
right
to
now.
address that.
And,
hold on. Let's address
is it
the
not a
fundraising.
fundraiser? I think we have a full screen of it. Yeah. Is it a fundraiser or not? And everybody fundraises. Again, I'm not just saying. By the way, that is another criticism of what's going on.
If I can get a word in here. Yeah, if I can get a word in here. I am the only Republican in the entire United States Congress who takes no lobbyist money and no PAC money. So absolutely, I communicate daily, vigorously with regular Americans, because the only way I'm able to advance my political goals is if just regular folks give me $10, $20, $30. And so I will take no lecture from the likes of people who do 3 lobbyist fundraisers a day and trade favors in order to get cash from special interests on how I raise money. And I take deep offense to anyone who wants to criticize the mailman, the active duty service member, the grandmother who believes in me and goes to mattgaetz.com to donate. Matter of fact, I hope they do that right now, and I'm not sorry for it at all, because I won't take the lobbyist and PAC money like every other person here does.
Well, I think that's awesome that you don't. I think it's fantastic. By the way, do you plan to stay in the House? Are you planning, have you thought of running for office, like maybe the governor's race in 2026? What is your thought there?
You know what, Laura? I think I'm exactly where I need to be, doing exactly what I need to be doing. What I need to be doing is ensuring that we have, what's that?
You're not thinking about it at all? I mean, come on, you're an ambitious guy. And again, there's nothing wrong with it, but why are we playing cute here?
I'm not running for governor in 2026. I am here serving in the House in 2023 trying to get a budget. Why is it that when I'm trying to get a budget and single subject bills and a return to pre-COVID spending, all everyone's interested is in a political race that's 3 years from now? I am here doing this job. My voters elected me to do this, and that is what I have endeavored to do, at times with a very small group of people, but dedicated people, because we have to send a shockwave through Washington, D.C.
Well,
we have to change this town. We have to change this system.
Congressman, President Trump took to Truth Social this afternoon, and he said that why is it the Republicans are always fighting among themselves? Why aren't they fighting the radical left Democrats who are destroying our country? Now, I know you've had conversations with President Trump, and you intimated that he was, you understood where he was coming from, and it seemed to indicate that maybe he was in favor of what you were doing, but wasn't going to say so publicly. What can you tell us tonight, since he really is the leader of the party and you are a MAGA Republican and he's the top dog? So what do you say?
Absolutely. I support President Trump, eager to campaign with him. Probably our private conversations I'm going to keep to us, but I think I'm in pretty good stead with the former president. You'll see me on the campaign trail with him soon. And by the way, you know who you won't see on the campaign trail at a big rally? Kevin McCarthy. Because if Kevin McCarthy took the stage at a Trump rally, he would be booed off of it like Lindsey Graham.
Well, Congressman, do you think that, let's say next year, and who knows how this is all going to play out, but next year, November, whatever it is, 8th, 5th, 6th, Republicans lose the House of Representatives because Democrats think this is going to help them. They wanted McCarthy out. The Democrats wanted McCarthy out just as much, looks like, as you did. So let's say Republicans lose the House. Will you feel any regret for having done what you did today?
Absolutely not. I believe that we were destined to lose the House if we didn't do what we did today because we didn't give anyone something to believe in. I've traveled all over this country, and I have seen the despondence and the sadness in conservatives who don't believe that Republicans in Congress are fighting enough for them. Half of your monologues every night are about the failures of House conservatives to really dig in and fight. You are in many ways a true north to try to help us focus on the things that matter in these contentious debates and discussions over legislation. But you know what? We're not going to lose the House. And you know why? Because Donald Trump is going to drag a bunch of people to victory who probably wouldn't have deserved it otherwise. But that's what happened in 2016. 2020 was another good year for Republicans at the congressional level. So when Trump's on the ballot, we do pretty well, and I suspect that we'll do well when he's our nominee.
Congressman, we really appreciate you responding to McCarthy and joining us tonight. Thank you so much.